Hey guys, it's ArchieLuxury. ArchieLuxury from the ArchieLuxury channel, the Paul Pluta channel, and ArchieLuxury corporate. Guys, keep watching. Keep watching. I need the viewers. I need the viewers. I need the subs. I need it. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Tell your friends, whether you like them or hate them. Just tell them anyhow. ArchieLuxury on YouTube. Hey guys, it's your pontiff here. Archibald Chesterfield III. Today I want to talk about Rolex. When Rolex was not cool. When Rolex was not cool. And you know, you guys might look at me as if when Rolex was not cool. You guys might look at me with disbelief and disgust, but it's true. Rolex was not so cool. I can remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, and if you were a sophisticated collector, you didn't have too many Rolexes. You may have had one, and you've definitely owned one or two before, but it was a different era, Now everybody wants the Hulk, the Batman, the Panda, the Pepsi, the Coke. You know, they all want this cool stuff, but there was a time when Rolex wasn't so cool. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, I can remember I've never been cool. You know, I've always been a little bit on the outer, you know. And to me, I was always a value shopper. I love the Rolex brand. I didn't really care what other people thought of it. And in the late 90s, I had a really nice Rolex collection. I had an 18238 President with diamond dial, factory diamond dial. I had a 16610 Submariner steel with date. I had a 16570, that was the Explorer 2 Polar. I had a 16013 two-tone date just. And I also had as a beater a 16800 Submariner. No, it didn't have the white gold indices. It had the white gold indices around the indices. It had the white gold, the rings, not the. Okay, so I had a number of cool watches, and I had to sell them for financial reasons. But you know, that wasn't really that cool. I mean, back then there was only one 36mm President was it. There wasn't a day date 2 or a day date 40. There was only one size. Things were simpler then, very much simpler. It's funny, I remember these forums, Rolex, and I used to be on the Turfers, new Turfers. Turfers stands for the Ultimate Rolex Forum, Turf. And then it went new Turfers. And I remember reading there, everybody wanted the new Lume, the Super Luminova. And if you sent your Rolex in for a service, they could change the dial and hands to Luminova. You know, that sort of, everyone wanted the Lume. But I never really cared about Lume. I didn't really bother me. And it's funny, now it's switched. Everyone wants the Tritium, don't they? Tritium, original Tritium hands, original Tritium dial. They want all this stuff. It's kind of funny. In the early 2000s, if you were a sophisticated collector, it was uncool to have multiple Rolexes. You may have one, but if you were a sophisticated collector, you would have some IWC. That was kind of the, you know, the Swaffenhausen, you know, the attention to detail. That was a really cool brand. IWC was really cool. JLC. Oh, you were a sophisticated collector. If you had, it's like drinking normal soda water or Perrier. If you had a JLC, man, you were sophisticated. you were sophisticated beyond all belief. And you know, then if you then there was Breitling. Breitling was considered quite cool. Cartier wasn't the stink that it is today. Frank Muller was very cool. That was cool. And it's funny, you look at the Zenith. Zenith was, you know, that was really cool. So it was, these were a different time as well. What I distinctly remember, this is 20 years ago. 20 years ago, collections. See, nowadays you have people who have 10 watches is well 10, you know, that's not considered ridiculous. Now you got 20 and 30 piece collections, and that's probably the big ones. Back in the 2000s, if you had kind of 10 watches, that was a big collection, you know. Back then, I think 5 or 6 watches was considered a really good number to have. The last 20 years, we've added more, so many more pieces. It's funny. The collectors themselves there, they've, you know, you used to see Kenny Nguyen. He had a classic photo of a briefcase full of Panerais. Pam was so cool. Pam was so cool. That was an investment grade watch. Panerais was investment grade, and you'd have a briefcase full of them. I was like, you know, now you look at the photo and think, oh, the poor bastard. And I remember there was this guy on one of the forums, I think it was one of the Rolex forums. He posted how he sold his Sea Dweller, a serial number Sea Dweller, to buy a PAM 24 submersible. And he had to put money in. You know what I mean? It was just crazy stuff. And Rolex was respected. It was never considered garbage, but it was, that's what newbies buy when you don't really know much. You weren't a sophisticated intellectual collector. And you know, obviously what's happened is that the market has shifted. Panerai stuffed up their kind of coolness by too many limited editions. They had Panerais they were releasing that weren't divers, like 30-meter water resistance, ridiculous. And then they got rid of the screw in, the easiness to change the strap. They changed that because it was too expensive. You know, they really cheapened a few things. Panerai also had the scandal where they had a completely unworked on ETA movement, and they said this was a special edition. Absolutely ridiculous. IWC, what went wrong with IWC? So Panerai, it's Richmond's greed that killed Panerai. IWC, what happened was it became more important to have in-house. And IWC always relied on Baljou's 7750 movement bases. And then they had to go to Solita with the swatch, you know, how they did things. So then that kind of really hurt IWC. And IWC did a number of stupid things. The Ingenieur was a scientist. It was kind of the IWC's answer to the Milgauss. They then went and made it a sports chronograph. It's just, they really confused the brand. The Big Pilot has always stayed there. Yes, it has. The Portuguese. Yeah, the Portofino has always been a bit on the nose, in my opinion. So I think IWC got hurt when in-house became more important. That's what happened there. Breitling, I think Breitling really became too successful. It was always a niche brand, but they really went to mass market, and they're owned by a bunch of investment bankers. I mean, whenever investment bankers take over something, you know it's going to be food. You just know it, because they're just greedy sons of bitches. Greedy sons of bitches. Zenith was always kind of a niche watch, but they've always been a bit of a underdog in recent times, so they never really soared. Frank Muller, that became unpop. Frank Muller, look, Frank Muller's still they were super cool in Japan. They've settled a lot. Frank Muller, you know, they're an expensive watch, but it was just an ETA movement in a fancy case. And that's sort of what happened to Cartier as well. Cartier's became, instead of having an iconic model they keep forever, like the Rolex has had, you know, so many, their models are just very evolutionary, not revolutionary. Cartier's become a fashion brand. Again, Richmont's greed has destroyed that. But it's fascinating. You look now, Rolex is so cool. Rolex is what, you know, that's what a serious collector has. But the reality is, man, it wasn't the case. 20 years ago, it wasn't the case at all. It was not the case. It was, Rolex was called a cliche. You weren't a sophisticated collector if you had Rolex. So that's the way it was, man. Rolex was not cool. I mean, it's completely changed now. Completely changed. So yeah, remembering when Rolex was not cool. Tell me what you think, guys. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, put some nasty comments, and I will see you in the next one. Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW. Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, new sponsor on the channel, APPSTANTIATE. Help get the most of your engineering and DevOps with APPSTANTIATE. APPSTANTIATE provides on-demand DevOps infrastructure, test automation, and continuous integration as a service with a focus on mentoring and hiring assistants to help engineering teams scale. They are experts in Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, and the latest open source utilities to help your company save time and money. Cost reduction in your hosting bills alone will pay for itself. In addition, the team is 100% onshore, New York City-based senior engineers. APPSTANTIATE will help you get most productivity out of your current stack and/or employee headcount. Email hello@appstantiate.com. Please email now hello@appstantiate.com for more information. ArchieLuxury, proudly supporting fantastic businesses. And don't forget, guys, make sure you subscribe to the ArchieLuxury corporate live streaming channel to be updated on all the live shows I do. Live shows! Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane, and the Strand Arcade in Sydney, Vintage Watch Co, Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co, that is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co, that is where the pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.